Hello, everybody. Welcome to a fun discussion video I have planned for you today. As everyone knows here, and I have made no attempt at hiding this or concealing this, yellow is my favorite color in the Digimon trading card game. It's the color that I won my first event with. It's also the color that I topped my first event with BT4 War Gray. Unless you count those BT1 events that weren't really tournaments, and I topped one of those with Red Omni or something. But like first real regional when they started regionals, I topped with BT4 War Greymon, and yellow has always been my color of choice when it comes down to it. I love yellow, hate all other colors. Well, I don't hate them, but they just don't do it for me. And I'm going to explain to you why I'm so enamored with yellow and why I think it's actually the most creative and therefore the best color in Digimon trading card game. But before that, I want to introduce you guys to the comments and let me know what you think the best color in the game is and why. I want your color, and I want to know why. A good reason. Not a bad reason. I like red because my opponent can't play the game because I just beat them. No, I want a good reason. If you're going to give me a bad reason, well, you're a bad person. So we'll just leave it at that. And what I like about yellow and why it has the highest ceiling out of anything is because of the potential and the creativity in deck building. You can kind of do whatever you want with yellow. Granted, certain parts of yellow are locked in to certain deck building norms, which we'll talk about. There are more restrictive decks in yellow, and there are a lot more creative yellow decks. So what exactly do I mean by creative? Well, let's take away Padon for a second. Let's talk about, I don't know, Lugamon. If you're playing Lugamon, your deck is pretty much solved. You're playing 4 of that Lugamon, you're playing 4 of that Lugamon, you're playing 4 of that Fenrir Lugamon, you're playing some of this, you're playing a lot of that, whatever. Your deck is pretty archetypal. It's like, you remember in Yu-Gi-Oh! The early days, when I'd say Gladiator Beasts was the first deck to really go in on this? If you were building a Gladiator Beast deck, you were building a deck where most, if not all, your monsters were Gladiator Beasts or Test Tigers. And that was it. And you're playing a bunch of spells that helped, and a bunch of traps that helped, and then supporting line of spells and traps. Kind of archetypal deck building like that. So something like Lugamon pretty well falls in line with that. Which is funny, because I consider purple the second best color in the game because of how flexible it is in its deck building as well. You can do really cool things in Digimon with purple. Like, for example, Lilith Loop, spearheaded by Lilith Mommy herself. This one. This Lilith Mon here. You play your options and you do things, right? So, Lilith Loop has evolved throughout the years of Digimon. Using very unconventional cards to try to, evolve and keep it up. It's not following that archetype. It's not using a Lugamon card. You know what I mean? It's using all sorts of things. Now, it's kind of evolved into a place where the best form of Lilith Loop is called Millith Loop, where you have things like the black, you know what I mean. Not that. I'm sorry. Black Growl. Yeah, I think this will come up, right? Yeah, cards like this, that mill. It's mill, and you have Lilith Loop, Lilith there to recycle Jack Rays to gain more memory so you can mill. It is a little more specialized in the mill package. Not super creative from a deck building front, but that's the current iteration we're on, and it could evolve in the future. But what about other decks? Well, if you're playing, I don't know, Imperial Dramon, you're pretty stuck in your ways. You're playing with Imperial Dramons, you're playing with Pale Dramons, and you're playing with Dino Beamons, and Stingmons and Wormmons and Davises. And there's a little bit of creativity in deck building, obviously, but at the core of it, you're locked into, I gotta play these Wormmons or Vmons. I have to play these XVmons and these whatevers, and you know what I mean. It's kind of restrictive in that sense. What about black? Well, Alphamon, for instance. Alphamon's a great example. You can play your Alphamon cards, but you know you gotta play some copy Orumon. You know you gotta play your Dorumons and all those cards, X antibody theme. So you know that's there. Decks that appear to be creative but are not are decks like the Greymon decks, like War Greymon, for instance, right? Sure, there's so many War Greymons you can play, absolutely. But if you're going straight War Grey, odds are you're probably playing the BT12 War Greymon, wherever that is, this one here. You're probably playing the BT9 War Greymon X Antibody. And then you're probably just playing the same Greymons, Greymon X's, Greymon Sec +1, Agumons that help you search cards, Tamer, Ties, always, and that kind of stuff. Not a lot of variety and change. If you play Black War Greymon, similar problem. I'd argue that Black War Greymon's a little more creative than War Greymon. You can toolbox your level 5s a little bit better, but again, not too much. You play something like, I don't know, I'm just listing examples at this point. Leviamon, another purple deck. You're pretty much stuck in your ways. You gotta play your Leviamons, your 7th Lightning, your Biting Crushes, and you gotta play the Leviamon line that helps you, get out to Leviamon to get you max value and all of that. And there's on and on and on and on and on and on. Okay. So, what makes yellow special? Yellow, prior to BT14, was kind of in a rut, in a sense. It had some creative aspects to it, but like BT4 War Greymon was a simple deck. Lord Nightmon, a little bit of teching you can do, really simple. Yellow Hybrid really sealed the deal for the deck, and we'll start there with your Yellow Hybrid cards, right? Your Jet Sylphimon here. Jet Sylphie, the Bay, who did nothing wrong. It's a shame. Anyway, how the deck worked back in the day is you had to play your 8 Yellow Hybrid, the champion stage, plus your Jet Sylphies. And you had to play Tamers. But the rest of the deck was in your court, basically. And yeah, there were Tamers you should play. You should play Memory Tamer TK. Back then, you should have played Zoe. You should have played Cody. You should have played, whatever. Depending on when it came out, maybe Ty and Kari, blah, 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 whatever. Okay. But, you had flexibility in your rookies, and still do. You have flexibility in your other champions, if you choose to play other champions. You have flexibility in your other ultimates, especially because Jet Sylphie's at 1. You can't just go Jet Sylphie Turbo. You definitely have flexibility in your megas, because there's no megas. If you wanted it back then, I can't remember back in the day what you'd play as a top end. It's been so freaking long. But, nowadays, if you want to play Venusmon, you can. You want to play freaking Quantumon, you can. If you want to play Shadow Survivormon, you can. If you want to play some crazy combination of anything else, you still can. There's lots of variety here. Even Yellow Hybrid today, there's so much you can do with it. You can play Marcus Hybrid, which is a Yellow Hybrid adapted Marcus strategy that plays Marcus as Tamers, plays Agumons as rookies, and you play some Rise Greymon stuff, maybe some Ruin modes in your Yellow Hybrid deck. And you kind of have the Marcuses to have an extra punch for games, so to speak. But you don't have to do that. You can play Yellow Hybrid with other rookies. I'm a big fan of the Lopmon package. You play the EX2 Lopmon and maybe the BT3 or 4 Lopmon. Can't remember which one it is right now. The one that you take the top cards out of your hand, draw a card. And then you play EX2 Shuchong Wong, who plays a Lopmon from hand, and it rewards you once you get a 3 lower security drawing card every turn. That's pretty neat. You can play Ukomons as rookies if you really want to go that route. Ukomons are fine. Ukomon is crazy. Throw Ukomon in everything, apparently. I can't wait to try Yellow Hybrid with 8 Ukomons. Anyway, that's the point I'm trying to make here. And your Tamer lineup is not solved by any stretch. There are so many good yellow Tamers. Anywhere from Memory Tamer TK, to Tai Kari, to TK and Kari, to TK and Izzy, to Cody, to Zoe, to all sorts of, so many options of tamers that you can play. Like, there's options you can play. You're not set into options. You can play yellow trainings, yellow memory boosts. You can play blinding rays, reinforced memory boost. You can play removal options like shining burst, depending on which way you're going. You can play lonkies. You can play wyvern's breath. Flexibility is so good. And before I explain to you why it's a good thing, let's talk about the other really common yellow deck right now. If it's not yellow hybrid, it is most certainly and definitely yellow vaccine. My baby, my pride and joy. This is what keeps me, in the game. I'm gonna be real. If yellow wasn't doing it for me right now, I don't know that I'd still be playing Digimon, full disclosure, but God, there is so much you can do in yellow vaccine. You know how many yellow vaccine champions there are that are good? You have Andromon, you have Rapidmons, you have Geogreymons, you have so many. You have Repamon, you have Gatomons, you have so many choices. You can play hybrids if you want to get that sneaky hybrid for game, Lots you can do there. And then ultimates. There's so many good ultimates in Yellow Vaccine. There's Magna Ace, Andromon Ace, there's Rise Greymons, there's Kirinmon. There's freaking so many choices. So many options that you can choose from. Megas? Fuck, go to town. Venusmon, Mitamamon, Seraphimon, Kentaurismon, soon Magna Xmon, Rapid Xmon. You know what I mean? There's so much stuff happening in Yellow Vaccine, and you're on. Yeah, there's a little bit of restricted stuff in there. You have to play your 4 Patamons, okay? You have to play probably 4 TKs, the one from BT14, and it's recommended you play some course of hand traps, Magnace, Andromonace. And your top end should probably be some number of Venusmons, and you probably should play Ruin Mode. But besides that, it's a toolbox. You can throw whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. Your other rookies can be whatever you want. They can be Ukomons, they can be Kudamons, they can be Pillowmons, they can be other Patamons, whatever. And there's so many ways to take Yellow Vaccine. Again, you can do Marcus Vaccine, which I popularized by topping a BT15 Regionals with it, which no one has done. There's now the Rapidmon route. You can play a whole bunch of Rapidmon cards. You can do that. You can play a more Angel Recovery focused route with like Seraphimons and stuff like that. You could go the Kentaurismon route and try to OTK through Kentaurismon. You could try to make some kind of Mitamamon Barrier Rush deck. You can do that. And it doesn't even stop there. You can weave and wave certain lifelines here. You can play Revelation of Life and Kari strats if you want to. Or you could just go all in on TK and TK and Emissary of Hopes and touch none of the Kari cards. You could do that. There's so many ways to play Yellow Vaccine, and your opponent cannot possibly know what you're doing in a blind matchup. Which is why I think Yellow has a huge advantage over any other decks. First of all, Yellow has the tools where if you are playing perfectly, you will do well. Unless your matchups or your bricks just F you in the butt. That happens. But assuming everything is just and right, you should do great with Yellow if you're doing things perfectly. And if your deck building is spot on. That's very, very important. But let's say that I'm sitting across from you at a tournament and you're playing Lugamon. I know everything you could have in your deck. I know to potentially plan for things like Plan or Crimson Blaze, maybe. Sure. Maybe you got a Ruin Mode hiding in there. Okay. But the main core of your deck, I know what it's doing. If you playing me with Machine Dramon, first of all, God help your soul. But then I know what your deck is doing. If you play against me with anything else, Imperial, play Numamon against me, whatever. I know exactly how all the decks work, and they're easy. It's very easy. Sure, the smarter players and the better players are able to weave and maneuver combo lines to get the best possible advantage to win certain game states. And it's that skill that still exists in Digimon, which is nice. But it's the same shit at the end of the day, right? Lugamon's still going to go to 4 to 6 checks, you know what I mean? Numamon is still going to try to Monze X, go on a wide board and like kill you and aggro you out. It's the same stuff. Red Hybrid's going to try to Red Hybrid you really quickly. It's the same stuff. War Greymon's going to try to build a big tower and deplete your board resources and hit like a truck. It's the same story. Bloom Lord is going to bloom all over you. It's the same story. But like with Yellow Vaccine, no two builds are the same. Unless you're not decking. If you're not decking, then yeah, okay, there's going to be some same builds out there. But no two builds are going to be the same. And you simply cannot play around everything. Once game one's over, you have a better idea, and then you kind of adapt strategy, go from there. But still, maybe there are cards you didn't see game one that will fuck you up game two, and you didn't play around them because you didn't know they were there. It's a truly big advantage. When I'm playing Yellow Vaccine, I try to play with as little cards as possible. I try to keep in events as much as my deck is secret as possible. Because in a 9-round blind reach or less, fuck me. If you're playing in a regionals, right? It's not like you're in a real regionals, an in-person event where you can like go watch your favorite players and people watch your deck, they see what's in your deck and whatever. No, it's a webcam. It's blind. You don't know. You don't know what Yellow Vaccine cards I'm playing. You just don't know. And that's what makes the deck really scary to play against. That's what makes Yellow as a whole really scary to play against. By playing these open-ended strategies, these Yellow Vaccines and these Yellow Hybrid decks, you can truly throw in cards that will give your opponent a moment, and then you'll win because of that. Just like that. And that is my piece on why I think Yellow is the best color in Digimon right now. But let me know if you agree or disagree with my analysis in the comment section. And I'll see you later. Bye!